You clicked on this one because you want to get more stuff done in less time. You're an independent, just like me. I totally get it. There are only so many hours in the day, but let me help you and reframe your thinking just a little bit. Because what I think you need to do is you need to get the most valuable activities for your business completed first. My name is JP Garcia. I'm an independent contractor, independent consultant. Been doing that for a while now. This one is about efficiency hacks, so let's dig right into it today, right? First efficiency hack that I'm going to talk about is prioritize your calendar with Agile Principles, meaning you want to do the most valuable tasks first. And this doesn't start where you may think it would start, right? It starts with self-awareness. You need to know your strengths, you need to know your weaknesses, and your tendencies, right? Why is that? Are you a person that gets caught in analysis paralysis? Do you like to fly by the seat of your pants? What types of ways do you get distracted? The reason I bring this up is because this will all feed into your calendar and how you evaluate what you need to do, right? For example, look, I'm a person that loves to multitask, and I'll be honest with you, I like to think that I multitask, but what that really means is that I get distracted when I'm in a meeting or when I'm doing something and I get an email or I get a Teams message or a Slack message, and it comes in and I'm doing something else. So to me, my attention gets diverted. I like to rationalize that as multitasking, but really my attention gets diverted. So I have that tendency, and it's something that I have to take into account when I'm looking at my calendar. A pro tip, as an aside, if you're somebody like me that gets distracted very easily, you may want to look at getting a virtual assistant. I use Otter AI, links in the description if you care for it. But I do a lot of I do a lot of meetings, I do a lot of client engagement, that kind of thing, and having somebody to take notes for me, that's super handy, particularly when I get distracted. Back to planning, right? So the plan happens. You need to know your tendencies and how you get distracted and what you're good at and what you're bad at. And I'll get into that in a little bit and why that's super, super valuable. But first, my hypothesis for how planning is, right? And this is coming from a person who personally, I kind of hate planning in a sense. I hate really lining up these tasks. I don't like to-do lists. You can ask my wife. She has tons of to-do lists for me, and it's difficult for me to get on them, basically because I feel like, and this is just a personal thing for me, I feel like that I don't want people telling me what to do. I want to have control of my own destiny and all of that, okay? That said, planning happens regardless if you write it down ahead of time or while you're in game, so to speak, right? And really, to take this hypothesis a little bit further, I propose and I say that planning in game, meaning planning as a reactive measure, takes longer than planning ahead of time, okay? And I can say that because in my personal life, in my personal practice, this is what I've seen. If I actually take the time to plan the week ahead of me, then it takes a lot less time to plan than it does for when I say, well, I'll figure that out when that day comes. And then that day finally comes and it's like, oh crap, now what? I've got to figure out, I've got all these things to do. Which one do I need to do first? Okay. So first step here, block some time to plan. We're going to do this in an agile way. We're going to block time, a little bit less time than you think it might take, right? So I propose you block 15 minutes on a Friday afternoon or a Monday morning to take a look at your week and figure out what you need to accomplish, ranking each item by the highest value activity first. Okay? So because you want to always be attacking the stuff that's the highest value, right? So, in fact, here you go. Hey Siri, Alexa, remind me every day at Friday 12:30 p.m. to prioritize next week's schedule. When this time comes up on your schedule, okay? Set a timer. right? Don't make it a huge, don't give yourself all day to set the plan. Give yourself 15 minutes, okay? And because urgency will drive the result that you want. You'll focus more just because you have a time limit, okay? So set 15 minutes to set up your plan for the whole next week, all right? And then, again, we're prioritizing using Agile Principles, i.e. that is the most valuable tasks first. So how do you define value? Well, there are a number of ways. First off, money, right? Very clearly. Revenues and costs, and what impact do they have if you do this activity or if you don't do this activity. Examples could include invoicing. You know, you have a lot of things to do. You may not send out invoices, but guess what? Invoicing is how you get the money, right? So you need to have time to do your invoicing. Or paying bills. And I can tell you, I am horrible at paying bills. Thank goodness for completely automated bill pay. I love it. And it's great. Just take it out of my bank account. That's how I roll. I like prepaying for things because I pay for it now. I don't have to think about it again. Because bill paying itself may not seem like a value-adding activity, but look, if the lights aren't on, if there's no internet, if there's no AC in your business, there's no money coming in. I can promise you that. Or at least for most businesses, I'll say, right? So I think that you need to go through and look at each activity that you need to complete for your business during the week and value rate them, right? Figure out what impact that has on your business. Is this a high value activity or a low value activity, right? And money is one way to look at it. Time savings or whatever value metrics that you have for your business, use those metrics to measure these tasks, okay? And another pro tip, here you go. Have a start time and an end time to your day, okay? A start time and an end time for you to figure out when you can do activities related to your business. And this sounds crazy because most entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, they're working all the time, but I will get to it in a second of why this is a super important thing, particularly if you're trying to find efficiencies in your calendar. So you've gone through, you've looked at your activity set for the week. It could look something like this, right? Create a presentation for this client, or go to the UPS store to return these packages, or pay the electric bill, okay? Or go to your kids' school play. Why would I put that in there? Well, for me, part of the reason why I wanted to be independent is to be able to be present for my kids' activities. I wanted to be there for them, anything that they do. School is notorious for doing things in the middle of the day, and it's hard to schedule around that, and a lot of parents have difficulty. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do this independent thing was to have the flexibility to attend my kids' events. And if I don't do that, then I'm really going against one of the principal reasons for why I'm doing all this hard work to have an independent business anyway, right? So for me, go to the kids' school play, super valuable, has to be in there, right? Another thing that could be on your to-do list for the week, go to work. Hey, a lot of us start off as, with our independent businesses as a side hustle. That may be you. That was me. That's a lot of people, and that's okay. All right. But you have to figure out when you're going to work. You're focusing on work. You're delivering all the value that you can for that, for that company or whoever you work for. It's got to be in there. It's got to be in your list, okay? Or, it could look more just like normal business stuff. Follow up on a sales call, write copy for LinkedIn, create a website, all of these things. Find a new computer, whatever it is. Generate the list of activities you need to do next week and assess value to each of them. Just like Dave Ramsey says, where every dollar has a name, every task should have a day. Okay, we need to get granular with this. You need to figure out what day you're going to do each of these tasks. Okay, now this is where we circle back to having the limited number of hours. So when does your day start and when does your day end? And then slotting in these activities into those days and figure out, okay, realistically, what am I going to be able to accomplish this week? Okay. And again, going back to it, I can't mention it enough because it is super important. You need to do all the highest value activities first. You want to get those done because if all the rest of that stuff trails off, you have delivered the most value for your business that week. Again, now we're going back to your hours. So let's say that you set your hours for yourself 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's what your day is going to look like every day. That's a 12-hour day, all right? Here's why that's important, okay? Because look, as much as we can be workaholics, we can be super focused on our business, our life is not just our business, right? You have to have time for self-maintenance, for yourself, exercise, healthy eating, sleep, etc. Why is that important as a solopreneur entrepreneur? Well, if you go back to some of the videos that I did about the money machine, right? You are your own money machine. You are it. That's it. If you're sick, if you're not healthy, if you're not rested, you're not going to perform. You need to have time for yourself. And specifically, you need to carve out time each day to take care of yourself. That is not part of your working day, okay? The other thing that it may be obvious, but I still need to say it, is because it is your family. Your family, your spouse, all your dependents, the people who need you. You need to have time for them, and not just time for them. You need to have untethered time for them, right? What does that mean? No work cell phone, no laptop, no screen time that doesn't involve work, that involves work, right? You need to be able to separate work from your family, your spouse, your kids, all of that stuff. Because when it's family time, you got to focus on family, okay? Because otherwise, you're going to get in this situation where you're all work, your family misses you, they need you, they want you to participate, and you're not there for them. This whole independent situation that you have going on, you're going to find a hard time finding support for that within your family. And look, trust me, your family, they're your cheerleaders. They're the ones who need this from you. They're the ones who believe in you. And you need to set time aside for them as well. Now, you have your week planned, all right? One last principle from Agile to incorporate is the retrospective. Alexa, hey Siri, remind me at 12:15 p.m. on every Friday to examine how effective last week's plan was. There you go. So in your retrospective, you need to determine how well your plan worked. What were you able to execute? What dropped off? What estimates did you have that were off? Those types of things. And you need to take that feedback and incorporate it into the next week's planning. This will just help you continuously improve and become more efficient at planning, which then becomes more efficient at execution, which then leads to more efficient value delivery for your business, okay? So if you remember now, we started our planning interval at 12:30 on Fridays. So we only have 15 minutes for the retrospective. That's all I planned for you in those two Siri things. You're welcome, by the way. But 15 minutes for a reason. Don't dwell on things, okay? Just examine and act, all right? We don't need to dwell on failures for, I wish I did this. Look, that's counterproductive. Just figure out what didn't work, fix it, and move on. Now, if you're like me, you'll have several items that did not fit into your week's plan. This happens to me all the time. What do you do with those? Well, check out my next video for my thoughts on that. Look, and if it's not out yet, subscribe because it's coming soon.